it's just an impact mark. It's just an impact mark. Everybody expects this impact mark to take you forever on this journey and call you whatever you want to call it. I remember reflecting what I've seen before and reflecting what I've seen now. When I saw it in my impact from those 7 years, I saw exactly what I was doing. My penetration of character was, well, there's so much more to give you. But I never did it. I put it into my video games, I put it into my writing, I put it into what I was doing at the time, my running, everything else. And now those things are flipping out. Having almost a tongue-tied run. So my head is tongue-tied when I'm running, so sometimes my eyes reflect backwards and they kind of go outside of me. So it's like I can't see clearly when I'm running. But that's the thing. Once you have that vibration when you're doing something that you usually do, it means something in your life is going to change. And it's not going to be what you do on a regular basis and the things you put your critical care and critical love into. It's exactly what the other side is. It's when you're holding a teddy bear and you're looking at your neighbor. When you're just outside of your front porch and you're looking at your neighbor right after an earthquake occurs. It's that. And that impact is just like your brother last week when he came over and said, my wife's pregnant. And it's just that you're lifting up and you're seeing the sky suddenly. And you're like, I didn't see it like this yesterday. But it's here today and it's like, you know, sometimes there's a few pink clouds around and you're seeing those pink clouds and you're finally concentrating on them instead of looking at the white and gray and black clouds that are there constantly. You're looking at those pink clouds finally and seeing exactly what they mean. That they're not a vibration of, you know, oh, well, that makes you gay, liking those colors. No. Instead, you can finally see them for what they stand for and what they mean to the world. Happiness, you know, guidance. The only things at night that probably have any light at all are the dark pink clouds. Are the ones that come out at night and just take over the sky. And look like the Big Dipper at certain points. And when you see the crescent moon sometimes you're like, well, that could be the impact of what we want at night. But it doesn't necessarily mean we need it. There's always waves going in the ocean, so, you know, when you're at night you could cradle like babies next to the ocean. And then you can feel like the tenderness of what the sand is doing when it's kind of permeating gladness in the midnight air. But I just never saw your impact. I always felt like you always wanted to berate me. And not in a bad way. As I guess it's easy to do. Judgment of character is just like trying to eat a ham sandwich for dinner. It's just not everything you want. But it's something that you just have to do. You know, I mean, I'm as financially stable as the running of the bulls. That's it. That's it. You know, I'm as financially stable as that. The running of the bulls probably has better understanding of what it's doing. At least they have a fence that they're driving in. I, on the other hand, am, you know, constantly bickering with these outside forces that are never here. And they're never wanting to be here. I mean, just going back to what Jar Binks' character represents. I mean, you know, I remember this incident where one guy said to his friend, I fucked this girl so hard I made her bleed. First thought in my head when I heard them walking in front of me, back at Long Beach City College, I heard this conversation, overhearing it when I was walking off campus. First thing I thought was, man, no wonder people don't like Jar Binks. This is what they like right here. And it's like that impact of like a teddy bear eating a piece of candy. Or Halloween night when you were 5 years old and, you know, you just wore like a sheet over your head to look like a ghost. It just felt like that. It was like, wow, all that tenderness, all that so-called tenderness that people call out for, it just isn't there. It's just like this. This is the reflection of what it is. All those stripes that so-called people have, and, you know, a leopard doesn't change its spots and all that. It's just not real. It's a lie. Because if it was real, people wouldn't have to hide their character in a stage with a mask. Because they wouldn't need to. They would understand that change is possible within your own character, but they'd rather be like Teddy Ruxpin constantly and try to creep everybody out with stories of their adventures. I don't need to. I saw you yesterday and I wanted to have some kind of enunciation. You just wanted to text me, though. Didn't want to talk on the phone. That was a reflection of time. And it just fizzled. It wasn't supposed to be that way, really. But understanding that you already have the concept of your character is already taking what you had last night and just beating it like a dumb drumstick. That's why you don't ever guide your life. You just sort of say, I'm going to pull this rope like a tug of war. But that's why you feel every single bristle when you're pulling that rope. Because you still will feel everything. Doesn't matter how much you don't want to. Doesn't matter how much you say, I'm just going to pull it, and that's all I'll do. You're still going to have all those other reflections of life come back at you in your face as you're doing so. And you could maybe try to stop it, maybe try to push it away, but it's not going to go away completely because you can see it in your eyes, in your face, in your ears. You know, it's just every single sense is just pushing you back more. It's not pushing you forward, which it should do. You know, well, what's the old saying? An aura represents who you are, to a certain extent. But auras change consistently at times too. Sometimes you stay in this calm of purple and blue. Other times you turn to this rage of red and orange. And sometimes you're in that green, where the green light will come and it's finally time to move forward and get to the boss. You know, and then beat him down, take his crown. Not like you're taking somebody's job, but instead you're, as I would say when I want to work, I always tell many of the people that I go apply for that I'll work for you. But this interview is not my work. It's not my work. This isn't the impact I could leave on you. I could read poetry to you, you still wouldn't hire me. Because that's not what my reflection is. My reflection is that I like cleaning. My last job, that's what I did. I cleaned so much they told me to stop. They said, whoa, 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 whoa. They enjoyed it, but at the same time they employed this idea that you must stop at a certain point and you must implode your character. Well, if I'm doing the work to satisfy your conditions, where are my conditions satisfied? If in fact your conditions are satisfied with what I'm doing, then there is no problem. I mean, I can feel your emotions. And you know what? You can tell me your whole story. But once you start saying things that tell me that you feel trapped, and I'm not saying every single time somebody tells me something that reflects how they feel about me, that they feel trapped, but it does signify that it's not just about not being with the person they're supposed to be with at that moment. Clearly there's something else leaving that impact on them. And it was there way before I started. It was there way before I knew this person. Or any person. I mean, that's why we have judgment. And critical thought. Is that we can finally see that it wasn't really Marcello that did this. Because if it was, that would mean that Marcello has that much power. I'd wonder why all these other people would just automatically signify that I'm gay when they have so much signifiers that don't tell that story. I mean, it's just like when you try to put new glasses on. That first initial impact of them. It's like everything's searing clear. And you just can't ever divide it. You can't take it and say, this is what I wanted from it. Because it just came the way it came. It came as it was packaged. I mean, that's the thing. Once you package somebody, once you intimidate them, once you berate them, you have nothing else to lose. And there's only so much that there's, floating in the air in front of you. That's why you have to realize that sometimes the ocean isn't meant for everybody. I don't think it's meant for me. I don't think fire's meant for me either. I kiss the earth and the air first before I kiss fire and water. Because I feel like they have more of an impact in what I am as a person than fire and water ever did. Because so many people grab for those so fast and they're like, I need those, I need those. But can you move forward with those? Or are you just grabbing onto them because you can feel them, you can touch them, you can know them? You can't feel the air because you just walk around with it around you all the time. And you never take it into consideration like it's that... Like the first time you saw Jurassic Park and you heard the cage closing in at the beginning. The compartment closing. That sound that it made. Sounds like my mom's truck when it goes over bumps. It just always hears that. And, I mean, Earth you just walk on. And sometimes you don't even walk on it. You walk through it. So it's not never there for you. Or you feel like it never is. Because that's why you feel fire and water so well. We're made of water. I mean, when you go back to reflect on what a date is, for example, a date is pretty much feeling fire and water. Me, for example, I don't. I probably feel more when I'm spontaneous. Which means I'm not doing it because there's a need to get to that date. It's mostly a need to get to that moment. That first impact of asking somebody out. And seeing exactly what it means and the critical announcement. And I guess if you feel that more, that's when you have something to offer. I mean, people tell me all the time, you gotta go around the world to find the right person. And it's like, that's a joke right there. And don't worry, someday somebody will rock your world. I'm not putting down anybody for saying so, because I've heard this a few times already. From different people. It's not really that. It's that, well, wait a minute, why would I want somebody to rock my world and put so much work into it? God damn it. Sorry. It's just a reflection of what... I mean, really, you want that much to put on me? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Shouldn't I have the same effect on somebody else? Why should it only be one-sided? That doesn't make sense, and that sounds like a really bad argument. It's like saying that, well, you have to realize that this person is just wanting to be with you. Well, so then why do they have to make that much of an impact on me? I get it already, And I reflected who I am through them, and through them, they can make their character of who they want. They could either be buried and die, or they could come out as a zombie. Maybe they'll create something by that. It's just never complete. And it shouldn't be. Really, it shouldn't be, because it's not what you wanted in life. It's what you thought you wanted. You thought you could carry skulls on forever on your shirts, and you thought that those reflected who you were. That's why each time you look at the nose of a skull, it's an upside-down heart. But what does it mean to you? Where does the skull mean more, or does the heart upside down mean more? Like it's fitting in your pocket on your shirt. It's just not, it's not an assumption or character that I'll take. When I see you, I could see so much more of what you had wanted 20 years ago. Not what you want now. It's just what you feel now. And sometimes you don't want to feel what you've been told you feel. Not because you think somebody's intimidating you because they're telling you who you are. It's because at one point you realize that there's more than just people knowing who you are for what you want. I feel that. I understand that. I know that means that probably won't be together. Because if we were, that would mean that you would have to take a lot from me. And it's not like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to analyze the relationship you're in. Well, that's not what I'm doing. I'm analyzing everything else, except the relationship I'm in. And that's the biggest thing about this, is that everybody thinks, well, you're going to analyze the relationship you're in. How do you know? I haven't been in one. I accept now that I have to be more affectionate. And that the whole dollar scheme or liking cash or money on Facebook isn't going to get me it. And I don't want it to. I never liked cash or money on Facebook. Not my idea of love. Sorry. It's just not who I am. It's not my impact in life, and that's never will be. And you could eat all the ostriches and eggs in the morning that you want. But you're never going to see a reflection of who you really are. You're just going to see this idea of what you want, this ideal sense of having a castle at home, even if you're not living in a castle. I mean, it goes back to that. It goes back to what you're feeling, and it's like, well, this is the identity I carry. Well, hold it a second there. If this is the identity you carry, then you're judging me on your identity, not on mine. And you're telling me this is who you are, Marcello. Well, okay. You're telling me who I am now. Yeah. I'll tell you who you are. If I was that intimidating, I would. But I'm not. And I'll never be that. Maybe that's why you can't see me for who I am. Because you can't take it for what I'm carrying right now. And let's say I'm able to carry you. Let's say I'm able to. Is that what I want to do? Is that what you want? I think you've made an impact of who you are already. And you really want somebody who can accept that. Intimidation won't do that, and I'm sorry, but nothing else will do that. All your brothers and sisters won't do that. The biggest thing in your impact is the fact that you're going to keep on crawling towards somebody to grab your hand. I don't do that to you. You have somebody. And if you feel trapped, do you really have somebody at all? I just realized that I'm at a point where my affection is not going to keep me inside anymore. I'm going to be respectful with it. I'm not going to overdo it, intimidate people with it. I'm not going to stalk people because of it. I think that's a very stupid way to show your love. In fact, the best way to show your love is to say, you know what? I care about this person enough to not put a burden on her when she's not around. When I have to go to her or, crawl in a crawl space to see her. I'm not a sea urchin. And I'll never be that. And until you can see past all that and carry your ears a little more open, then maybe we could be together. And that's it. Take care, guys. See the sky before it falls.